in IOWP seminars, as I was saying, one of the things, the function of the seminar is to talk about what has been accomplished, but also to get people's responses, because they're very valuable to our development of our thinking, right? We're trying to think about a transformation of all the systems in the world, right? And it's immensely difficult. And the more people that we can get to help us, intelligent people like yourselves, is wonderful. And your contributions, Bob, have been excellent. And I'm very glad that Sid is here, and all of you are here. You've been asking excellent questions. Even Jordan and Colin have been making really good questions. And so it helps in this process of our understanding.
So you're taking note of what we're saying.
Absolutely.
Still, if you've already jumped out the window, predicting that you're going to hit the ground.
Yeah. Some fellow did that, and as he passed the 6th floor, he was heard to say, so far, so good.
Yeah, not where we are.
Yeah.
We're in Old Forge, New York.
Well, this really does look like a resort town. So many gift shops. Or a tourism town, rather.
Mark and I, by the way, just met yesterday, but we've had a long correspondence, a wonderful correspondence since he's for years now, mostly in terms of my books, which he's read them and commented on and so on. So, Mike, would you introduce yourself? Is it Mike or Mark?
Mike.
How do you spell your last name, Mark?
DeVries is capital D-E, V is in victory, R-I-E-S. And essentially, guided from a point of view of ethics, I was going through all this back my years of biological research, and I started to get into it just from the interest of taking the world to a higher step, because I never really believed in the capitalistic efforts of what we're doing and what we're doing to the world. And I tried to do research on it, but I could never really find any information on the possibility of a New World opportunity for world unification. And one of the things that I kept doing research on and failing to find anything significant until I actually ran into Millennium Dawn, which was Dr. Martin's first book. And when I first read that, I was thinking, wow, you know, this is everything I've been looking for. And from that point on, I've really become fascinated and drawn into everything that's trying to be achieved here, because it's exactly what I have wanted to try to achieve my entire life. And in finding this, it's actually given me something that I want to fully become involved with and make it happen. And now that I am going into a new industrial area of study, which would be primarily the business, I'm getting my master's in business administration, and it has an emphasis in healthcare administration, but I would like to use that in any way I can to try to assist our efforts here in both world unification and establishment and ratification of the World Constitution.
Thank you. You need to MBA.
Yeah. Just a quick thing. Would you see over the course of this, if you can get about 3 YouTube-type video clips, about 2-3 minutes each? Yes. Just pop out of something that you might find interesting. Sure. Not lawn wind and stuff that's boring, but you know, something that's... Okay. You wouldn't mind if I grabbed my tripod, would you?
Writing brochures and reading books and trying to figure out how to do that, and have been sending out brochures of Dr. Martin's brochures and also my own brochures, mainly to super wealthy people, billionaires, that I've looked up on the internet and found the most progressive ones, the ones that aren't Republicans, and the ones that given a lot to the Democratic Party or to liberal people in politics. And I've sent them brochures, probably 6 or 8 mailings, to maybe 60 of them. But some of them, like George Soros, is worth, some of them are worth $20 to $40 billion.
two there, worldwide soil erosion and desertification. Right? There's a progression. Fertile soil that grows crops which we need to feed the people on the planet. For various reasons, it becomes progressively degraded, partly from over farming, because there's such a pressure to produce, and there's such poverty that people are over farming, and so the farming land becomes degraded to the point where it becomes grazing land, and the grazing land is overgrazed to the point where it becomes useless. And again, there's book after book. Well, you see here, the world has lost 1/5 of its arable land in the last decade. This was written about that statement. I began to see that appear in about the year 2000, and it still appears, but it's very vague. But it does indicate something, that there's common agreement among the people that are writing these books that arable land is rapidly disappearing. The exact figures, they're just estimates, of course, because no one's going around measuring footage. But to feed the population of the planet, which is skyrocketing, right, we need as much arable land and as much viable oceans for fish as possible. So we're losing the ability to feed the planet at the same time that the population is exploding. Get the word out. We got to find ways to hit it. All we got to do is hit it with one book. Right? Economic Democracy: The Political Struggle of the 21st Century was the book I first read, in which caused me to contact JW and say it was a good book and so on. Any of these books might catch on. It's like Ellen Brown, who wrote the book The Web of Debt and published it with a very small publisher. It caught on, and she told me she was bringing in $60,000 a month for a while from the proceeds of that book. And it's
we're talking about a lot of different excellent ideas here. One is that obviously we need funding. Another is the nonprofit organizations that are going into this. And I think that we were synergize these ideas by different types of business financing and whatnot. For instance, say we could use these nonprofit organizations to create something like a World Federation credit union. And we could which would attract members to support it. At the same time, it would help those members if they want to create any type of programs or anything that would promote our efforts. That way, it would give them the financing to do it. We could give them benefits back, give them better interest on their money. And we could also have different other programs financially involved with that credit union. And that way, it would inspire a lot of interest to do this. It would give us the money and would also create a very functional goal for advertisement, like what Roger's talking about, in a very useful way. That
excellent. We need to talk about how that could happen.
Okay.
Right? That's a wonderful idea. Earth Federation Credit Union. And so people. Yeah, we belong to, Phyllis and I belong to the Virginia Credit Union. right?
Exactly.
The Virginia Employees Credit Union. And these credit unions are not-for-profit organizations that are really, really much better than the commercial banks in all kinds of ways and very helpful to people.
Right.
That's a wonderful idea.
And that's because they're using their profit to try to help a specified area or organization or area of people. Like Kern Schools Federal Credit Union is designed to help the school districts in Kern County, California. And there's credit unions set up all over the United States in order to sponsor or help these different groups. And I think this would be an excellent way of financing a lot of different projects. It would create incentive in order to create more projects. It would create incentive for membership. It would create funding opportunities and benefit to those people who don't even really want to get involved in it actively, but can get involved in it passively by, instead of having their money at one bank, they could just throw it all into a credit union and earn extra interest, and then they could also support, in an inactive sense, the Earth Federation movement.
Wow, excellent. This is exciting. All these ideas are exciting. Let's have a coffee break.
I have a question. Has the Baha'i faith ever shown any interest in the Earth Federation movement specifically, or?
Dr. Gandhi, who I mentioned in that TV interview, is a Baha'i himself.
Oh, wow.
He believes that all religions are one. They're all talking about the same thing, and so on. I've talked to Baha'is. The Baha'is have a group in Cuba that I've talked to a couple of times. The Baha'is have a group in Virginia that I've talked to, and so on. And the response varies among individual Baha'is. Some are very interested in it as individuals. We've never had them as groups, as chapters, decide to support us, because others, this is something you run into all over the world, they have this idea that the spiritual transformation of humanity must take place first, and then we will have world government. Right? So they have this sequential thing, and they don't think we're spiritually ready for it now. And my argument is that the two are inseparably linked together, because spiritual transformation and the kind of cultural and governmental structures that we live under are inseparable. Right now, under fragmented structures, we're fragmented. We see people as enemies and competitive all over the world with ourselves. But if we have an integrated and holistic cultural and governmental system, this will enhance the spiritual transformation, right? So that's the argument that I give to them.
That explains it, because I knew that they promoted the world unity, but I could see how their particular faith would be a priority above just world unity.
Yeah.
Like any religion, they put their spiritual message above the real world to me, perhaps.
I think that's an excellent point, and I would love to hear more about other organizations and how they relate to the World Federation as well. So I think you mentioned one, and who are these other guys? But this may not be the right time for it. But at some point, it would be great to just kind of run down a list. And here's other people doing the same kind of work, and here's how.
We did some of that, yes.
I'm sorry.
But you see poverty when you go, as you know, you go to India.
Yes,
and
but you
people,
don't see environmental degradation.
yeah, you don't really see it. Here, the lake looks beautiful.
Yeah.
I've been here for all my life, and I've seen the awful degradation. All the animals are gone. All the most of the fish are gone.
Right.
The acid rain has destroyed it all. But the people in these doing the water skiing and so on, their kids, and they don't even think about it probably, a lot of them.
Right.
So we have to now. What Kevin was saying a few moments ago is that he put on his website videos of such people as Jim Hansen, who is one of the top scientists at NASA, worked at NASA, and he was the first scientist that modeled global warming on the supercomputers at NASA with disastrous predictions for the future. And he's still trying to raise the alarm. He's saying we're facing absolute disaster on this planet. If we could somehow get people to see and experience that, through videos, through symbols, I think that would show them that they have also nothing to lose, really, and everything to gain. What we have to lose in this country is the empire, right? And most people in the country don't even realize that we're the center of an empire which is brutal worldwide, military domination and exploitation worldwide of people. And they think the United States wants to export democracy and freedom, and so most people are so imbued with the ideology, the official ideology, that they wouldn't see it as that they have that somehow, and in some ways, for those who are wealthy in this country, maybe not the bottom 40%, but they have something to lose, and they think it has to do with their democracy, their freedom, their good government that wants to promote democracy worldwide and so on. They think this is something precious that the United States stands for, and that it represents and that it embodies. And they're mistaken about that. It's really a brutal empire, and its victims worldwide are testimony to that. And right now we're bombing three countries, right? And the CIA is manipulating dozens of others, and so on. So, it seems to me it's very difficult to appeal to their sense of the environment and say you have nothing to lose when on the surface of it they think they do. Right? From my analysis, they have the empire to lose, which makes them rich. Even though, the defense industry employs so many people, and the wealth of those big corporations has a trickle-down effect to a lot of people.
Not the majority, but to
the influential class, the political class, and so on, who have some clout. So how do we frame it in such a way that they will feel that real freedom comes from the Earth Federation and not from the U.S. government, right? Which is an illusion.
Right.
Well, one area there is that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights gives young people that are growing up, American citizens, rights that the U.S. government doesn't give them. It gives them universal health care and universal education. They can't afford to pay for these university fees that they're charging nowadays. So if we could appeal to things that even make the United States even better than it already is, who wouldn't support something like that? I think 30 or 40% of the United States population is young people. I think that's what I heard somewhere.
Like minors or just
Probably, I don't know what the
Under 30 or
under
something.
30 or something like that. But there are positive things that we could stress that would be appealing to even American citizens, at least ones that were reasonable and sensible. Maybe on YouTube, where a lot of the younger generation get information. Even websites are kind of outdated, because website you actually have to read something.
Right.
You know, forget books. You know, books are way back. Now websites are outdated. They want to actually watch somebody tell them, you know, read to them. And
We'll do the best we can to post a lot of YouTube content. And we're just depending on this video.
Depending on me, huh?
You gotta have sexy-looking young people.
Yeah.
That leaves all of us out,
Right.
on one count or another.
Who calls the shots? What Isley used to say, and I think he was correct, that we don't want to abolish multinational corporations. We want to convert their operations to operations that are beneficial for the people around it. And Microsoft has a vast infrastructure that can be used properly, right? And if Bill Gates is behind this, that means he wants to use. He doesn't want to exploit people. He doesn't want to destroy the environment. He wants to.
Problems came up, why these changes were made, and how they eliminated that problem.
Yeah, it was not a national problem. Because it's a global, worldwide jurisdiction. If there are two countries that are arming to blow each other up, the individuals in one of those two countries, either of those two countries, are not governing themselves at the higher level that embraces both of the countries. They're only attempting to govern themselves at that national level, up to that national level.
They're capable of doing that if they work on a national government. So, I mean, that's a given.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, what we're, I guess, getting at is why then, I mean, these changes that are being made for specific reasons because the system has been found not to be able to deal with a certain situation.
Yeah.
And it's realized that it needs enhancement at that point.
Yeah.
These enhancements are being made in order to deal with those situations.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what, needs to be understood in how and why these provisions or these changes were made.
So all of this has to be considered.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's you're essentially what you're doing is you're putting the system through a practical application of tests to see how it responds and to see where it comes up a little bit inadequate in which areas it can adequately deal with. And by that, you're determining which changes need to be made.
Well, in a certain sense, what the system, if you mean by the system, the world system, it's completely inadequate in almost every way for dealing with preserving the environment, for dealing with protecting human rights, for dealing with disarming the world.
Are we talking about?
For dealing with poverty.
Are we talking about the World Constitution?
Yeah, it's not the jurisdiction of the national governments to deal with those problems because they can't, and they wouldn't be able to outside of the context of a non-military Earth Federation.
There's the present world system can't deal with any of those problems.
Right, it's incapable of doing it because.
So, yeah, we're talking about a holistic world system that it because of it, it's a systems analysis, right? It's not corrupt individuals that are a problem. It is not bad bankers or whatever. It's a system that's our problem, right? So we're designing a new system, but to design that new system, we also have to design the mechanisms for conversion. It isn't just like the Russian Revolution, where we're going to wipe out everybody in the old system, kill them all, and think somehow a new system is going to arise out of the ashes of the old. We want to have specific ways of converting the present system without violence to the new system, right? And so these are mechanisms that have been developed by the Parliament to try to do that. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, I understand that, and that's exactly what I'm referring to when I say, a problem arises because all of a sudden you've got a company who was once selling arms and dealing with those components that were built for the military is out of business, or would be out of business if we eliminated the military. So now we have to come up with another practical application for these.
Right.
And that's essentially what I'm talking about when I say that you need to put the system through an applications test and see, if we were to do this, we would come up with this problem. So how are we going to solve this problem?
Further
And you see,
elaboration, not less.
Good,
yes.
good.
And you see, and this is what I'm referring to.
I didn't understand before.
Right, and that's what I was afraid of. And I think that's what's going on a lot here, is that a lot of us are incapable of understanding what each other is trying to say, especially with all the vast information that you're giving. There's things that are being missed, and that's why a lot of us are getting frustrated, and why we're coming up a little bit short in the communication efforts here.
Yeah.
I agree.